I am Bella, International Miss Boot Black 2013. I identify as a slave and a munchkin.
Okay. A munchkin?
Yes.
Can you explain that?
My partner and I have a different dynamic that is a mix of slavery and being a little, and he has termed me a munchkin.
Excellent. Will you tell me a bit about how you found leather?
I found leather by surprise, actually. I had entered the kink and BDSM community, and I was going to Munches, and we had our first leather contest, and I went just to see what was going on, and that's where I found Boot Black in the corner. And I was exposed to the people in our community because we overlap so much who are leather, and just as time went on and I was exploring, I found myself drawn to the leather people more and more, and those were the people that I considered my friends in my inner circle.
And then when you first kind of saw the boot black, how did that begin your boot black journey, or how did the boot blacking for you actually begin?
That actually was the beginning of my journey. I saw the boot black in the corner, he was working, and I just knew at that moment that's what I wanted to do. That's where I wanted to be. So I talked to my friend who had brought me, and I said, I want to learn that. And he had learned the basic skills from Christo in Indianapolis, so he's like, come over to the house, I'll show you the basics. And that just, from that point, it became meditative, and it just felt like a home to me, and we just started that progression from then on.
How long ago was that?
That was in 2008.
Wow. And then was there a key moment when you realized that you actually were leather, not just hanging out with leather people or anything, that you were walking the leather walk?
It actually was this year, which is kind of interesting, and you would think with running for leather titles and holding a leather title that I would have realized I was leather and not just a boot black. I actually realized it when one of the women who's been the most influential to me, Miss Tammy, I sat down to talk to her about how her leather journey had gone and what she had experienced coming into the community when it wasn't necessarily as open to women. And one of the key things she said to me, because I had questioned myself, she said, sometimes we know you're leather before you ever will, and you're leather. And that was just the eye-opening moment where it's like, okay, yeah, I just don't see it.
When did you eventually embrace it? Or have you embraced it yet?
I've started embracing it. After having the chat with her, I've always gone to the leather events, but I've really started to embrace the core values and making sure that I'm holding myself to that same standard. Because once you're aware of it, you definitely don't have an excuse to not hold yourself to those standards and to help everyone, who you meet.
Will you tell me a bit about the previous title that you had, or previous titles actually?
I held Kentucky Boot Black 2009 in 2009, and I represented my state. I was the last one to carry that title, and that was my first title. It was a lot of fun, and it was a growing experience. It kind of opened my eyes to restoration and was a nice stepping stone for that. The second title I held was Great Lakes Boot Black 2012, and that really was kind of a launching point. What was beautiful about that title was that people had seen me grow from the last time I had competed, and they were able to say, we're seeing you grow, we're seeing you develop into, a strong leather person, and we're very proud. And I now hold International Miss Boot Black 2013.
Yes, excellent. Very briefly, what made you decide to run for the first title?
Honestly, it just felt like home, and I wanted to get more women involved. I was following Pony as the former Boot Black, and I just wanted people in our area to not forget that Boot Blacks existed. We often had sirs and boys run. We rarely had misses or Boot Blacks, and certainly not always female Boot Blacks. And I really wanted to have a female presence because it's not a gender-specific title.
Excellent. You've already started to touch on it, so I'm just going to ask then. Tell me a little bit about the service work that you do within your community.
Within my community, one of the first things that makes me feel better is just service to the community, to be active and working and volunteering. It makes me feel, better about myself, less shy, and, at home. I volunteer with Fringe Elements. I am a Boot Black for them pretty much for almost all the parties, and I volunteer as well.
Can you explain what Fringe Elements is?
Fringe Elements is our local 501c3 charity that has been created to fund and develop a space for education as well as play in the Louisville area for all alternative lifestyles. And they will actually be opening this weekend with the space. So it's actually moving very quickly. They are a great doorway in our Louisville community. Outside of my work with Fringe Elements, I volunteer for crossings for all of the Bluegrass Leather events. I've traveled to volunteer at other areas as a bootblack, and I am one of Louisville's organizers for Team Friendly.
Excellent. Tell me a bit about the contestant class that you just went through, like how it was with the contestants and your contest weekend. What was it like?
The contestants were just beautiful. I could not have imagined a more unique, eclectic group of women coming together, but we were very close from the first email. From the first email, everyone was talking back and forth and chatting and just getting really excited to meet each other. And when we got here, seeing those people in the lobby, you just run up and hug them. And all weekend long, we were extremely loud and extremely close. And if you were having a moment, there was at least one of the other girls turned around and was like, just breathe, it's okay. And so that was one of the beautiful things, is that everyone was so supportive of each other.
Excellent. What surprised you about this weekend?
I think the thing that surprised me the most was how many people came home and I met. All these people that I've looked up to for years and years were all right here in one spot. And I'm gonna have to think of new people that I want to meet within the leather community, because I met them all this weekend.
Excellent. I want to go back to ask you a couple of bootblack questions, if that's all right with you. When did bootblacking shift from a hobby to a calling for you?
The shift actually happened right after my grandpa passed. I had been bootblacking for just over a year, and I had the basics down, and I had been using it for stress relief. And after my grandpa passed, that's when the shift changed, and that's when I started using it to develop and work through pain and work through hard times, because he was my world. And when it shifted to something that I was doing to work on character, that's when I went to pursue a mentor, and I was like, this is what I'm going to be. This is who I am.
What does being a bootblack mean to you?
For me, bootblack it's home. And I mean, that's the easiest way to describe it. When I'm stressed, and even this weekend when I felt stressed, as soon as I sat at the stand and could smell the Hubbards, I was home, I was centered, I was grounded, and I knew that this was the community that I'm meant to be in. I love the bootblack community because they accept everyone. It's not, you don't have to be a certain color, you don't have to be a certain size, you don't have to be a certain orientation. If you want to bootblack and you come to someone, they will help you, and they will find other people to help you to get you engaged.
Excellent. All right, then I'm going to ask you a little follow-up then. I just asked you what bootblacking means to you. What does bootblacking do for you?
For me, bootblacking is the way that it keeps me centered. With my partner, it is a great expression of service. It's a form of service that I offer exclusively to him as far as essential bootblacking, and it just keeps us really grounded and connected, because when you worship the boots of the person who you serve, I mean, you're just worshiping everything that is them. If you're gonna walk through mud and I'm still willing to lick your boots, there's very little that I wouldn't give to you. So it provides me just an outlet for expressing the deeper connection that we have, as well as being able to serve my community and preserve that leather. Because to me, the stories pass through the leather. If you don't have someone to help you take care of that leather, then we're going to lose our history and we're going to lose our stories. And that's just not something I can take.
Excellent. I have one other question for you, and it's off anything I told you I was going to ask you.
Okay.
When you turned around during the contest, one of your back patches is a bear patch. Would you like to explain that?
I do have a bear patch, and the reason that I have a bear patch on my vest is because the bear community overlaps strongly with our leather community, and it is those men who have accepted me from day one, and they have taken me in, and they just love having me around. They like their little Goldilocks, they love their little mama bear, and when they want to bootblack, they're like, let's get Bella. And that's been one of the best things, is that there's never been a time where I wasn't accepted. So I connect very strongly with them.
Wow. And as somebody who is more on the feminine side of the spectrum, for you to say that, you don't experience any gender issues or what you feel are gender or sex issues?
No, they love me. They motorboat. That's one of the best parts. They're like, bring Bella, we can motorboat once she gets dressed up. And as far as it goes, they connect very strongly with having me there, because I've been in the bear community for some time, and our bear community is a little different in that Miss Tammy went before me and has been very involved. Our local bear club changed their bylaws, in order to allow Tammy to become a full member. And so they're very accepting of women within, because you really don't have to be a gay male just to be a bear. It's a state of mind, and it's a heart thing.
Excellent. I want to ask you one more question, a boot black question. What is your favorite item within your boot blacking kit?
I'm gonna say Hubbard's.
Yeah.
I really love Hubbard's. It's so versatile. It's something that you can use for many different types of, clothing. You can use it outside of boot blacking, which is lots of fun as well. But it's just a very, very versatile product, and it has a smell that immediately transports you to where you are. It's one of those smells I can smell it from across the room, and I know exactly what that is, and that's very special to me.
Excellent. Anything else you'd like to add at this time?
I am so excited to be representing the community, and I just can't wait to get out there and meet everyone.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much for having me.